Hey Mike, this is 2025 Passover Rapture. So I want to explain more on my position that I'm seeing right now. So the first thing that you have to understand about me is that when I say that there's possibly a rapture before the first seal is open, I see a 42-month period from the first seal being open till the end. You see, I don't see 7 years. There is no 7-year recording in the book of Revelation. Every time you read about time, it's only 42 months documented in the book of Revelation. Second of all, also that view, I am not saying that we are not anywhere in the book of Revelation after chapter 4. In fact, one of my favorite chapters, chapter 12, we are already in that chapter. But there comes to a certain point where we will no longer be included in that book, which is when the man-child is caught up. The man-child is now us. Christ is in us, the hope of glory. That is also a picture of Elijah when he was caught up, and they were looking for him for 3 days, symbolic of 3 years. The word Elijah means God ascends. This is also Exodus chapter 40, when God's glory was on the temple and it had to ascend so that Israel could move forward after that. It's all showing us the rapture. So that's one chapter where, yes, we are in the book of Revelation up until a certain point in that chapter. Just like chapter 13. In the beginning, you start reading it, and you start reading about the dragon and all that stuff, and the first and second beast. But there comes a point where there is a time period given, which is 42 months, which is not us. That is Jacob's trouble, I believe. And when you read the book of Revelation, not sure if, you probably kind of understand this, is that just because you're going forward in time in the book of Revelation as far as the pages, on a linear timeline, you're not most of the time. Most of the time when you turn through the chapters in the book of Revelation, you're not going on a linear timeline. You're going to a time, and then you get to the next chapter sometimes, and you're in that same time again, but just with different descriptions of things, you see. You probably understand that. It's like they're layered on top of each other, some of them, right? So, for instance, in Revelation 12, when the dragon goes after the woman for 42 months, I believe that is possibly at the first seal, right? The same thing. And then you go to Luke 4, when Jesus talks about 42 months of famine. And then he points back to Elijah, when Elijah was raptured, and there was 3 days, symbolic of 3 years, that they looked for him. So I'm looking at this in the book of Revelation from a 42-month standpoint, okay? And not a 7 years. Because if it was 7 years, we'd already be in it. If it was 7 years, we'd be in this last 7. Because we're in the last 7 years. The Shemitah started in 2022. So therefore, we would be 6 months in to the last 7 years. So there's only 6.5 years left of a 7-year period. I'm not looking at it from a 7-year period at all, because that's not what the Bible lays out. Jesus Christ, his ministry was 3.5 years. I believe that he took the first 3.5 years of the 7-year period, and there's only 42 months left of Jacob's trouble, because they crucified Christ, and he held off the vengeance, which would be the next 42 months. And the Apostle Paul is a type and shadow of the Antichrist, because he goes around persecuting the Christians after the death of Christ and the resurrection for 42 months. And then he gets saved. You see, it's very interesting. It's the same pattern. And like I said in my last video, Christ confirmed the covenant, not the Antichrist. That's the covenant between God and Israel. And that's in Galatians 3:17. So there's only 42 months left. When Stephen was stoned, Jesus Christ, it was going to start, but he held it off because he had a mystery. And he gave that mystery to Paul, which was the dispensation of grace, the gospel of grace to the Jew and the Gentile. Romans 16:25, Galatians 1:8 and 9, so on. And this is the difference between what you're thinking that I'm saying and what I'm actually saying. Now, I understand your point of view that you think that the seals are open, and I've thought that too for a while, but I'm not so sure anymore. I'm not so sure if the seals are open yet. Because, like I said, I see this incredible pattern. This incredible pattern of a 42-month period. 2025 is the year of the Antichrist. I know that for sure, 100%. That's right in the middle of the last 7 years, too. 20 times 25, it's 500. 500 in the Greek is Antichrist. And that's also on the Chinese calendar, the year of the snake. And then the next year is the year of the horse. It's right there. It's right there. The year of the horse. You got the snake, the Antichrist. And then the next year is the year of the horse. The white horse is riding. He's crowned in 2025. And he's riding in 2026, the year of the horse. I mean, these patterns, I see it so clearly. And, I heard you say, you know about what they say about Revelation chapter 4 and then 5. But they're coming from a 7-year point of view. That view is long gone already. Because we're 6 months into the last 7-year Shemitah. So that view is not a possible view anymore. They're not looking at it as a 42-month view, you see. The only thing that's left is 42 months. And so those are some things that I want to let you know. Oh, last thing is that we can't be here during the mark of the beast. The body of Christ is sealed until the day of redemption with the Spirit of God. That is Ephesians 4:30. Ephesians 4:30 says that we're sealed until the day of redemption. And that means that we cannot lose our salvation. If the mark of the beast was given on the earth at the same time as us, that would mean that we can lose our salvation. Because anybody who takes it is gone. That's not possible. So that's another thing that I heard you say in your last video today, is that it sounded like you were saying that people are going to be falling away by taking the mark of the beast. I agree, people will be falling away from the faith, but not by taking the mark of the beast. There are reprobates which are not saved, and then there are people who are saved but are apostate. Regardless, we can't be here, because if we can be tempted to lose our salvation by taking the mark of the beast, that would mean that we can lose our salvation. We're not eternally secure, and I don't believe that's what Paul says. Ephesians 4:30, there's no way. So that's another thing I wanted to address. But anyways, we're that's what I'm seeing right now, and I mean it's lining up so clear. So many things are coming to fruition. To see this picture so clear. To see it so clear. It's coming in clearer and clearer and clearer as time goes on. So anyways, thanks for your videos. I appreciate you, and thanks.